Thank you very much, and welcome to our examination-based conduct session presentation, Educational Management 2. Let me say from the beginning that this presentation covers all 3 trimesters for 2018. First of all, let us look at the structure of your paper. As usual, you are required to answer all the questions, and the total marks for this paper is 120, which needs to be covered over 2.5 hours. And when writing examination, please pay special attention to the following: specific requirements for your module. Your student number must be written correctly, and write down the correct module code. That is very important. First of all, let us look at principle of total quality management. I'm sorry for the spelling of the word management there. And when I am looking at principles of total quality management, it does not mean that is the only topic that you need to look at. You will need to study your whole study guide. Remember that we are not allowed to give you a scope or to frame work for you, but we are only taking certain important aspects, especially those questions that you might find very difficult to answer. For example, discuss the total quality management or TQM theory. In your study guide, it is illustrated in the following way, where we have, for example, starting at the bottom line, where we have integrity and ethics, we have leadership, teamwork, training, recognition, and then it is surrounded by communication, as you can see. So in your study guide, it is illustrated in a very comparative way, where they compare it to a house made of cement, the cement which is actually the binding force, that is communication. So, and the different aspects of integrity, leadership, teamwork, training, and recognition are outlined. And you need to familiarize yourself. What does integrity and ethics mean? What does leadership mean? What does teamwork mean? What does training mean? And what does recognition mean? So that will form the basis of your discussion. There are 8 elements of TQM, or total quality management. First of all, as I said, is the foundation. Now the foundation, which is now the lower level of that house, which is integrity and ethics, I also outlined what does ethics mean, what does integrity mean, and what does trust mean. And those are the very important aspects that you must know. You must be able to explain under foundation, what does ethics mean? Under integrity, what does it mean? Trust, what does it mean? Very clearly stipulated and outlined in the study guide. And then the building bricks, which is now the second level of that house, the building bricks, which is training, teamwork, and leadership. Let us look again at the house, which is leadership, teamwork, and training. Those are now the building bricks. So you need to explain, what does training mean, what does teamwork mean, and what do we mean with leadership. I already talked about the binding cement, which is communication. Look at the house again. It is the surrounding one, because it is the binding substance. So it is surrounding the house, communication everywhere, on the roof, on the sides, at the base. It is surrounded by communication. So what does that communication mean? The binding cement communication, what does it mean? And then we go to the roof, which is recognition. What does it mean? What does recognition mean? So if you go back to your study guide, it is also very well outlined. What does recognition mean? Which is the roof. So it's a very interesting picture that you see there, and it's very interesting to describe what it means. So I just want to sensitize you on the fact that you will need to go back to that picture and study it very well. If you understand it, it will be very easy for you to describe it. Right. And again, under the same topic of total quality management, there are 3 types of teams that are adopted. Again, the word adopted is wrongly spelled. 3 types of teams that are adopted by TQM. You need to know what are the 3 types of teams adopted by total quality management. And then Frederick Taylor's approach. Frederick Taylor has adopted a certain approach. You need to familiarize yourself. What is Frederick Taylor's approach? Cooperation between management and workers. What does it mean? What is the importance of cooperation between management and workers? And then there is a gentleman with the name Max Weber. Please go and visit this gentleman, because in your study guide he talks about characteristics of bureaucracies. What are the characteristics of bureaucracies? You need to familiarize yourself with that and get to know what are the characteristics of bureaucracies. Managers versus leaders. This is also a comparison. Managers versus leaders. And then you look at the characteristics of effective school leaders. How do we know that this is an effective school leader? Those characteristics are very well outlined in your study guide. And then there are processes for school improvement. What are the processes that you can follow as a school manager to improve your school? Get to know those processes. Communication styles. Here we talk about assertive communication styles, and what does it mean with assertiveness? Why is it important for us to be assertive in our communication? Very well stipulated and stated in your study guide. And then also conflict resolution. Sometimes passive behavior can create conflict. Now you need to inspect this internal conflict that is created by passive behavior. And in the form of a table, you need to compare healthy and unhealthy ways of managing conflict. There are healthy ways of managing conflict, and also there are unhealthy ways of managing conflict. And then you look at the problem-solving models that are also discussed in your study guide. And then the physical facilities, the principal's responsibility. So a principal is not only there to look at the learners and teachers, but also has the responsibilities to look at the physical facilities of the school. And that is what I need you to know. School management issues. How schools should create a favorable teaching, learning environment. How can a school create a favorable teaching and learning environment? Strategies. You need to look at the strategies, how to create a positive learning environment. Developmental opportunities. There are developmental opportunities that are outlined in your study guide, which also look at the school setup. And then again, you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We know that according to Maslow, there are needs that must be satisfied. Every individual has, at the lower or the bottom part of the pyramid, has basic needs, which are physiological needs. And these needs must be satisfied before any need can be satisfied. And then it is followed by safety needs, and then by the social needs, and then esteem needs, and then self-actualization needs. Now these needs relate also to motivation. For a learner to be motivated to study, the learner can only be motivated if the first needs are met. For example, a learner can only be able to study if the environment is safe. Safety needs. A learner can also be satisfied or be motivated if that child is not hungry. That's physiological needs. If the child is under a safe shelter to study, then the child is able to study. So I'm trying now to bring the theory or the approach of Maslow into a classroom situation, because the question will also relate to the classroom situation. And then criticism on scientific management. There are certain criticisms that are leveled against scientific management, leveled by the ordinary workers, leveled by or against management, and so on. So you need to look at those criticisms as outlined in your study guide. And then we look at the comparison of leaders to managers, not managers, managers. It's also wrongly spelled there. So in terms of the following: origin, formal rights, followers, function, necessity, stability, mutual relationship. Such a question will require you to draw a table and to have the different sub requirements. For example, origin, formal rights, followers, function, necessity, stability, mutual relationship, and describe it in such a way. If you are in doubt, please consult your study guide and you will see how that comparison is done. Factors on which competencies depend. There are certain factors on which competency depend. That is outlined in your study guide. Power versus authority. That's a topic that you need to explore. Power versus authority. We are talking about referent power and all other types of powers that are under that topic. The changes at school to meet the 21st century. What are those changes to meet the 21st centuries? Please read. The process of change in a school. We know that change is very difficult in any situation. Now, what are the processes? What process can you follow in order to bring about change in a school? The key abilities of a quality manager. When we look at a quality managers, what are the key abilities that can be outlined? And then you look at the aggressive and passive approach. What makes it that people sometimes act aggressively and sometimes they act passively? So you look at those phenomenon and describe them. Steps to take in managing conflict. We know that conflict is very apparent in schools. Now there are certain steps, I think 6 steps or so, that you can take in order to manage conflict. Very important, the school facility maintenance is very important, and there are benefits attached to school facility maintenance. One of the benefits for the children, for example, is that children are in a safe environment if you maintain the facilities. Look at the windows of a school. If the windows of a school are broken, a child can hurt himself or herself. So there are a lot of benefits attached to facility maintenance. And then human relations view, there is a gentleman with the name Mayo. Please go and familiarize yourself with his theory on human relations. Teachers' collaborations. Why is it important that teachers must collaborate? What are the benefits when teachers are collaborating? Self-explanatory, but please go and also read. And then we look at classroom management. I don't know what is the problem with the spelling of this word management. And also monitoring, progress monitoring. So here we are talking about the school level, for example. Why is progress? Why is it very important that you monitor the progress of learners? Why is it important that you analyze the results? Those are the questions. And then critical thinking is very important. School year planner, sorry for this, not year planner, but school year planner. What are the benefits of a school year planner? Why is it important that we have a school year planner? And then you look at the topic of rewards and recognitions, whether it is rewards and recognition for teachers, for learners. What are the benefits? Why is it an important exercise? And then the cluster system, of course. Here you look also at the role of the cluster center principal. And then the smorgasbord approach, building a caring community. Please go to these terminologies. They are outlined in your study guide and know what they mean. Smorgasbord approach. The teachers' collegiality and collaboration, and what are the requirements for homework. And that brings us to the end of our presentation of Educational Management 2 for 2018. As I said before, this is the only presentation and it covers all 3 trimesters, so do not expect any other presentation trimesterly. This is done and you need every time to go back to these presentations as a guide before you prepare yourself for the upcoming examination. Thank you.